Hey, whatever happened to the National Organization for Women? You remember the NOW? The National Organization for Women was established, as far as I know, for the support of women in America, right? They were an advocates organization for women. But I haven't heard anything from the NOW for years. I was just sitting around a day or two ago thinking about this. Whatever happened to the NOW? And so I went around looking, finding out, trying to find out whether or not they still existed or not. You wouldn't think that they existed anymore because the silence from the NOW here the last few years has been utterly deafening. You know about the NOW? National Organization for Women. You used to see their signs like at political rallies, the big NOW, the big ovals, and they had all the women or a lot of women and some men holding these signs up because they favored all of the woke issues, and they were, of course, pro-abortion, and they wanted women to get equal pay and equal treatment, and they were for the Equal Rights Amendment, and they were against the male-dominated patriarchy and all this stuff. Now, I'll make it clear, I'm not opposed to women. I'm not opposed to women breaking any glass ceiling, making as much money as they can. I don't see myself as superior to women, but I don't share the agenda of the National Organization of Women. But what got me on this was an article and a video that was posted by Tucker Carlson recently. I've been thinking about this for a while, and I kind of got tipped off to this by my friend Tracy up in Minnesota, who's one of our subscribers, and she notified me over on Twitter, and you can follow me on Twitter down below. There's my call sign at trailertrashtim, and she said, "Hey, you need to check this out," and she was right. And it was funny when Tracy sent me that message. I had just started looking into this because I subscribe to the Tucker Carlson Network, and you should too. It's fantastic. And he was doing an interview with a woman by the name of Sage Steele. Now, this was a fascinating interview. I knew who Sage Steele was because I'm kind of a typical guy. I'm into sports too. I'm not a rabid sports fan, but I'm into it enough. So I knew Sage Steele, S-A-G-E, Steele, Sage Steele. I knew her from ESPN. She has been a host over on ESPN for 17 years. Now, Sage Steele was interviewed in the last few days by Tucker Carlson. And the reason she got interviewed and the reason she's been in the news is this, several reasons actually. But let's go back in time. Sage Steele has been on ESPN for 17 years. Now, in the year 2021, Sage Steele did something really bad. She was on a podcast somewhere in 2021, and she spoke out against ESPN's vaccine mandates. Uh-oh, now we got a problem. This is Sage Steele. She speaks out against ESPN and their vaccine mandates. So I'm liking her already, right? Now it continues. In the same podcast, Sage Steele asked why Barack Obama called himself a black man when he is biracial. Now, let me quickly add, Sage Steele is also biracial, hence the question. Barack Obama, of course, is a biracial man. His father is a black man. His mother was a white woman. Sage Steele Her mother is a white woman. She's actually Italian, and her father is a black man. So that makes Sage Steele biracial. And she was asking on this podcast, why does Barack Obama call himself a black man when he's a biracial man? And again, remember, Sage Steele is biracial. I wouldn't be saying that. But she got away with it, and I understand because she's biracial. I'm not going to make an issue of that myself. I'm just pointing out that Sage Steele, this biracial woman, don't forget that part of this story, got in trouble for daring to ask why Barack Obama referred to himself as a black man when she said he's not. He's biracial. She is correct about that, by the way. And after saying that, ESPN took her off the air for 10 days. They suspended her for 10 days. By the way, let's remember, ESPN is owned by the Walt Disney Corporation. You do know that, right? ESPN, somewhat of a subsidiary, if you will, of ABC, which is owned by Walt Disney, the Walt Disney Corporation, possibly the most woke Fortune 500 company in America. They also are the parent of The View, where little Miss Whoopi Goldberg hangs out, and Maud Behar and the gang over there. But we're not through with Sage Steele because she wasn't through. Later on, Sage Steele asked why Leah Thomas, she broached the subject of Leah Thomas. I got several notes here. Let me refresh your memory as to who Leah Thomas is. You may recall, some of you, that we had a big controversy, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago, where a man by the name, a male human being, a man with male genitalia, was entering women's competitive swimming competitions, and he was winning. This is a man who called himself and calls himself Leah Thomas. Leah Thomas is a biological male, and this biological male was entering women's swimming contest. And of course, he was winning. But Sage Steele pointed out and said on the air that Leah Thomas is a man who was winning women's swimming competition. And she said, Sage said, Leah Thomas is not a female swimmer. And this is the truth that Sage Steele dared to utter on the air, for which she was fired by ESPN. There you go. She dared to question the vaccine mandates. She dared to ask why Barack Obama called himself a black man. And she dared to say that Leah Thomas, who is beating all these women in the women's swimming competitions, was not a female swimmer. And for this, Sage Steele was terminated by the Disney Corporation, the happiest place on earth. Just to clarify, Leah Thomas is a man, and men have no business competing in sports with women. Period. End of story. In the Olympics, we have men's competitions in various sports and women's competitions in various sports. And folks, if sometimes the truth can be offensive, sometimes it can be liberating, but here's a truth bomb for you. Men and women are not the same. Boom. May I be Captain Obvious here for a moment. You couldn't put, what was that woman that was the UFC champion? Oh, her name escapes me. She was Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey, a fantastic female boxer in the, what was it, the UFC Ultimate Fighting Championship. No matter how good Ronda Rousey was at beating up other chicks in the old octagon, she would never stand a chance with Muhammad Ali or Sugar Ray Leonard or Mike Tyson. Hello. Am I right or am I wrong? No, you're right. And Sage Steele, pardon me, is simply pointing out the obvious, that Leah Thomas was not a female swimmer. Leah Thomas had no business being in that competition because Leah Thomas is a man. It is an insult to women everywhere. Riley Gaines would tell you that. No man should be competing against women in athletic competition. But this is what I'm trying to get to. As it pertains to now, the National Organization for Women, this organization that ostensibly exists for the empowerment of women and for the support of women and for the advocacy of American women, where is the National Organization of Women standing in support and standing in legion with Sage Steele? All I hear are crickets. Where are you, NOW? Why are you not supporting Sage Steele? Where is the National Organization of Women for Ashley Biden, the daughter of the occupant of the White House, who at this point in time, we know, basically exposed her father as a pedophile? This man who likes to sniff the hair of women, especially young women, especially really young women, and apparently likes to shower with his daughter. This pedophile president that we have, and his daughter told us about that. So where is the NOW for Ashley Biden? Where is the National Organization of Women for Kathleen Willey? Where is the National Organization of Women for Paula Jones? Where is the NOW for Juanita Broderick? Where is the NOW for all of the women that were in Washington, D.C. for the J6 protest who are now rotting in prison? Where is the National Organization of Women? Hello? Anybody home? Is that just crickets I hear? Should the name of NOW be NOLW? Much the same as the NAACP, as the late great Rush Limbaugh would say, should be actually called the NAALCP, the National Organization of Liberal Women. Is that how this works? If you are a conservative woman, do they just not care about you? Evidently, that's the case. They certainly didn't support Juanita Broderick. They certainly didn't support Paula Jones. They certainly didn't support, I don't know, Sarah Palin, Kristi Noem, Tulsi Gabbard. Where's the NOW standing behind these strong women? Is it just the liberal women they support? Is it just the Hillary Clintons they support? Is it just the Kamala Harrises they support? Is it just the Dianne Feinsteins and the Nancy Pelosi's they support? And the Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez that they support? I guess if you're a conservative woman, if you're not a Democrat, you're just SOL with the NOW. Do you know what's funny? Not in a ha-ha way so much, but an ironic way. What is so funny about this whole thing with these men getting involved with women's sports and you not hearing anything but crickets from the National Organization for Women? The NOW is silent. The Democratic Party in America is silent as women continue to have their rights, if you will, infringed upon by people like Leah Thomas. Leah Thomas shows up wearing a women's swimming outfit, although Leah Thomas is a man, And he just basically says, step aside. I'm swimming in your competition. And the NOW isn't there to defend the Riley Gaineses of the world. Neither is the Democratic Party. They are just absolutely silent. Isn't it funny how people like Leah Thomas, men like Leah Thomas, have absolutely circumvented the so-called women's right movement? The NOW was founded to support women and advocate for women's issues such as abortion and stand against the male patriarchy and all this. But while men such as Leah Thomas go to women's athletic competitions and compete and win against women, the NOW is silent. The Democratic Party is silent. It's as if the women's right movement in America is dead. And the Democratic Party is just standing there letting it happen. And the national organization is just standing there letting it happen. They ain't saying a peep. It's unbelievable to me. They're not standing for women at all. They're standing for men. They are standing for men who like to pretend they're women. If I put on a dress and a wig right now and go start doing women stuff, going to women's swimming and, women's clubs or whatever, women's health clubs, or going to women's locker room somewhere, I'm not going to get any resistance, apparently, from the National Organization of Women, for God's sakes, and the Democratic Party. Is this not the most ironic thing you've ever heard of in your life? Men like Leah Thomas are single-handedly destroying the women's movement, and the NOW ain't saying it beans about it. It's mind-blowing to me. Oh, my Lord. This is just crazy. I guess the NOW is defunct, is all I can figure. I guess they don't exist anymore. Maybe I should have done a little more research to find if it's even still a thing. Maybe you can help me. Comment down below and say, oh, yeah, we've got a chapter here in our I don't know what's going on with them. I know they're not standing up for any women I know of that, are normal, like the aforementioned women I mentioned. All right, let me get off of that and move on to this. I have got to share a story with you about a man by the name of Mike Rogers. I am sorry to have to report to you that this man, Mike Rogers, happens to be my congressional representative in Congress from the sunny state of Alabama. I want to show you his picture. We're going to get some media on here before too long. I want to see if the camera can pick up a shot of this guy. This is my congressman. Let me get this thing. His name is Mike Johnson. He has the worst rug in Congress. Can you get a shot of that? Mike Johnson. Now, the headline reads in the paper yesterday, the local fish wrapper. This is the headline: Mike Rogers. Some ignorant members in House GOP oppose Ukraine funding. Okay? Now, this guy's a Republican. He is a neocon. He is basically another Bush. But I want to read part of this article to you because I want to show you what this clown is saying. U.S. Representative Mike Rogers on Thursday said supplemental funding for Israel, Ukraine, and Taiwan is possible, but border funding, our border, does not have the votes this year. Rogers, a Republican from Sacs, which is near here, who chairs the U.S. House Armed Services Committee, told the Montgomery Chamber of Commerce that, quote, we don't really have a choice to walk away, unquote, on the federal budget process. And he said both the budget funding the federal government for the next fiscal year, which starts October 1st, and a supplemental will pass, but it won't be easy. He said, 2 years ago, Russia invaded. No other reason than they wanted to. they invaded Ukraine. This is what Mike Johnson said. 2 years ago, Russia invaded. Now, first of all, he's saying we're not going to do anything about the border. We got to get funding to Ukraine and funding to Israel and funding to Taiwan, but we're not going to get anything done on our border this year. Well, thank you, Representative Johnson. You're all heart. He said 2 years ago, Russia shifts gears on us. 2 years ago, Russia invades. No other reason than they just wanted to. So they invaded Ukraine. That's what this bubblehead said. Well, Mr. Rogers, can I get into your neighborhood and wise you up a little bit? I can give you a couple of good reasons off the top of my head why Russia invaded Ukraine. Number one, sir, Russia invaded Ukraine because Russian citizens in the Donbass and Luhansk sections of Ukraine in particular were being massacred by this neo-Nazi government of Zelensky from Kiev, okay? Now, if we had a whole bunch of Americans being massacred in Mexico or in Canada, you might just advocate for the President of the United States doing something about that. I would hope you would. Here's another reason for you, Mikey, why Russia went into Ukraine. Because Vladimir Putin was repeatedly lied to by a succession of American presidents who told him, starting with Bush, the Jr., we will not expand NATO any further eastward. That was a lie. NATO continued to expand right up to the Russian border almost. They're into Poland, of course, and now there's talk about bringing Ukraine into NATO. What is happening right now between Russia and Ukraine is ostensibly a proxy war. It is right now, folks, basically the United States against Russia. That's what it really comes down to. And there are people within the American government, as crazy as it sounds, as nutty as it sounds, as fantastically unbelievable as it sounds, as illogical as it sounds, as outrageous as it sounds, there are people within the American government who want war with Russia. They want World War III so bad they can't hardly stand it. It's true. It's crazy, isn't it? But it's true. They hate Putin, they hate Russia, and they want to push us further and further to war with Russia. So, Representative Rogers, Putin had to do what he did because it was a defensive posture, because after being lied to by Bush, by Clinton, by Obama, I don't know what Trump told him, and certainly by Biden, NATO continued to expand to the very border of Russia. I have pointed out before, how would you as an American feel if Russia started encroaching upon America and they came up through Central America, through Guatemala and Belize and Nicaragua and all these other nations? They get into Mexico. Would you start to get a little bit nervous, or they came into a couple of Canadian provinces? Well, this is what's happened from their perspective. We continue to encroach eastward, that is NATO, and NATO is the United States, and we get right on the doorstep of Russia. Now, how would you feel if you were Putin? How would you feel if you were a Russian? Can you not be objective? If you're listening to me and you're an American or you're in the West, can you not be objective and just try for once to look at this from their perspective and understand that NATO continues to expand toward Russia's doorstep, and America, the United States, and its warmongering presidents continue to make war in places like Iraq, soon to be Iran maybe, Syria, the Balkan states, Afghanistan, Libya. We're now in Africa. It goes on and on and on. Somalia. It just never ends. So we've got a record of military incursions all over the world. Why would they not be nervous? Why would they not want to do something to stop it? So there's a couple of reasons for you, Mr. Rogers. He said that there is support for Israel funding from House Republicans, but that Ukraine funding is a sticking point because of some ignorant members in the GOP conference. Rogers said that the U.S. does not have a choice on whether to fund Ukraine or not. You hear that? We don't have a choice. We've got to do it. There is no choice. We must fund Ukraine. There's no choice. We must do it. I think we've got a choice. I think we could just say, not no, but hell no. We're done. You're not getting another cent. It's nothing but a money laundering operation anyway. And Representative Rod, you damn well know it. You fraud, you clown. He said that the U.S. is contributing a smaller percentage of the GDP than other NATO countries and that other countries are pulling their weight. He said the U.S. doesn't have a choice to walk away. Au contraire. Yes, we do have a choice to walk away. Don't tell me we don't have a choice. The congressman said that Vladimir Putin has made it clear that the fall of the Soviet Union was the worst day of his life. He never said that. And that he wants to reinstitute some version of it. He said, Rogers, if you look at the history over Eastern Europe, Russia has been taking these countries and losing them for literally a millennia. So he wants to do that. You don't know that he wants to do that, Mike Rogers. He adds that after Putin takes Ukraine, he would move on to invade other countries. You do not know that. Putin has not given any indication that he would do such a thing. Lord knows the United States would. If Russia, this is Rogers talking, if Russia attacks a NATO country, he said that would be World War III. He's right about that, invoking a potential war for a second time. We're in NATO, and in NATO we have a treaty. We have a treaty provision called Article 5 that says any member nation is invaded by an army, every other member of NATO will come to their defense and push that invading army back out. That's us, he said. Is it not such utter hypocrisy? None of this has to be happening. We would not be on the brink of World War III if not for goons like Mike Johnson, who doesn't know what he's talking about. He's right about one thing, that we are pushing ourselves toward World War III because simply we cannot mind our own business. We have got no business being in Ukraine. I'm talking of the United States. Why? Because it is in no way part of our vital national interest, folks. It's as simple as that. You can't get me to believe that we must defend the border of Ukraine when we can't defend our own border. Look who I found. Hello! What do you think about Mike Rogers, Kiki? You think he's a goofball? Well, there she is. She finally makes an appearance. You came in at just the right time because I was just about to say goodbye. Hey, listen, give me a comment down below if you would, and let me know what you thought about today's video. If you know what's become of the National Organization of Women, do you know what's happened with the National Organization of Women? You don't know. Let me know down in the comments. I'd appreciate it. Hey, give me a like on the video if you would. I would appreciate that. A big thumbs up, and subscribe to the old Triple T channel. If you have not, I would appreciate that. This is Trailer Trash Tim. Everybody, have a great day, and I will see you soon.